It's past midnight, and if you're sitting alone in a dark room right now, looking at a screen, waiting for a text that isn't coming, or wondering how a person who promised to love you could treat you like an absolute stranger, I need you to close the door, turn down the brightness, and just sit here with me for a while. Tonight we aren't tracking a daily streak. We aren't doing a standard journal log. Tonight I'm opening a door that I have kept locked for a very long time. Tonight is the beginning of a completely new chapter here. I'm going to tell you my full story, the entire context, from the very first second to the absolute wreckage at the end, and the long silent road it took to rebuild my soul from zero. I need to tell you this because I know you are hurting, and I need you to understand that the ghost you're fighting in your head right now, I fought that exact same ghost for 8 years. Let's go back to the beginning. 8 years ago, I was sitting in a classroom before that moment. I had been single from the exact second I was born. I didn't know how the world worked. I didn't know how romance felt. I was an incredibly shy, quite fearful human being. And then she walked through the door. People who have never felt it like to mock the phrase love at first sight. They say it's filmy. They say it's a cliche designed for cinema. But there are people like me, and maybe there is a part of you who know the terrifying truth of that moment. When she walked in, the entire world didn't just slow down, it completely paused. My chest filled with butterflies, my face grew hot, and I sat there blushing, unable to tear my eyes away from a person who didn't even knew I existed. Because I was too shy to speak, I had to force my own soul to do something that terrified me. When the teacher stepped out of the room, I walked up to the front desk, my hands shaking, and I looked at the attendance sheet. I saw two or three female names, and based on the faint memory of her voice saying present, I took a bet on one name. It was her. I went home that day and did something I completely despised. I downloaded Instagram. I created an account solely to find her profile. The next day in class, with a heart hammering against my ribs, I walked up to her with complete raw innocence. I said, "Hey, this is your name, right? I sent you a friend request." She asked for my name, accepted the request, and that was the tiny thread that started everything. We started chatting, normal conversations, casual laughter, and then, one day, I gathered every ounce of my fragile courage and told her, "I like you." She looked at me and said, "No." She said it was a definitive no from her side. And this is the exact intersection where my life changed. This is the moment where I should have stepped back, guarded my heart, and walked away. But when you're blindly in love for the very first time in your life, your mind doesn't compute with logic. I told myself I will make her love me. I will prove my worth. I stayed. I became the perfect friend. I became the best friend. I spent months making her laugh, absorbing her bad moods, being the steady rock she could lean on. And after seeing my endless efforts and unconditional love, she sat me down one day and handed me a formula. She told me, "You have a 10% chance and a 90% chance of no." Think about how cruel that is. She didn't give me a relationship. She gave me a game. She turned her affection into a ladder that she wanted me to climb while she stood at the top, watching me sweat. And because I was completely blind, I accepted the challenge. I said, "Okay, I will make you say 100%." And that is how the green glasses were completely, permanently fastened to my eyes. When you wear green glasses, the entire world looks green. Every single red flag looks like a beautiful meadow. For years, we chatted, we video called, we spent hours locked in this gray area. And during this entire time, she began to change. She started using bad language with me. She will say deeply hurtful, wrong things to my face. And do you know what my response was? Every single time I adjusted, I swallowed my pride. I looked at the initial and said, "It's okay, she's just stressed. She's just having a bad day. I should do more. I should be better." I watched that percentage like a man dying of thirst in a desert. Over years of psychological endurance, she would tell me it went to 20%, then 30, then 50, then 70, and finally, after years of me twisting my own character into knots to please her, she said the words, "It's 100%. I love you." I thought the battle was over. I thought I had arrived at the destination. But the reality I know now, the truth that I see with absolute clarity today, is that it was a complete game. and I had willingly signed up to let her play with my soul. Even after we became an official couple, the rules never changed. Everything was dictated by her terms. She would talk to me only when she wanted to. She would call me only when she felt lonely. She would meet me only when it fit her schedule. But the second I wanted to talk, the second I needed to call or, beg to meet, I was restricted. I was told I was demanding. I was treated like I was constantly doing something wrong. But the deepest humiliation, the thing that still sits heavily in my memory, was how she treated me in public. We would be out somewhere, crossing paths in a public space, and I will see her face. My heart will light up. I will, wave my hand, smile, and try to say hello to the person I was giving my heart, my entire life to. And see, she will look straight through me. She will keep walking like I was an invisible ghost, like I didn't exist. And the moment she reached the safety of her home, my phone will light up with vitriol. Don't you have a mind? Why were you looking at me? Why did you wave? Someone will have seen us. Don't you understand anything? Imagine sitting in a room reading those words from the person you love after they just pretended you didn't exist in the world. I remember sitting there typing back, I'm sorry. I just thought we were more. She will tell me she wanted to keep it private, but there is a massive life altering difference between keeping a relationship private and keeping a human being a dirty little secret. I wasn't a boyfriend. I was a hidden option that she pulled out of her drawer when she was bored and locked away when the world was watching. And yet I stayed. I adjusted to the feeling like absolute shit day after day just for the permission to hold her hand, just to keep her from walking away. Then came the first anniversary. We were right on the doorstep of 1 year being together, and out of nowhere, without a single argument, without an explanation, she texted me. It's a no from my side. And then, total block. Everywhere, literally everywhere. My mind exploded into a state of an absolute panic. I didn't know what went wrong. I didn't know what I had done. I completely lost control of my environment. I grabbed my parents' phones, my sister's phone, calling her from random numbers, begging, literally begging, screaming through text messages just to ask what happened. And every time she heard my voice, she just blocked the new number. Within 48 hours, the mental trauma hit my physical body so hard that my health completely collapsed. For the first time in my entire life, I had to go to the hospital. My chest was failing, my head was spinning, and I was literally battling my own physical frame just to breathe. And while I was hooked to the monitors at hospital, do you know what she was doing? She was living, she was laughing, she was perfectly fine. Mutual friends who knew the depth of my agony couldn't take it anymore. They came to my bedside and showed me her social media profiles. There she was, smiling, posting pictures, hanging out with friends, totally untouched by the fact that the boy who loved her was laying, you know, in the bed at hospital because of her silence. It broke me into a million pieces. Like, I cried until I had no tears left. And then a few weeks later, when she had extracted enough space, she unblocked me. And her very first text wasn't even, are you alive, or I heard you were sick. Her first text was, I know you got a new girlfriend. Look at the absolute brilliance of that manipulation. Like, seriously, she knew damn well. Seriously, damn well I didn't have anyone else. But by launching an accusation the second she came, she completely forced me onto the defensive. Instead of her apologizing for putting me in the hospital, I found myself sitting up in bed, typing out massive essays, paragraph after paragraph, explaining my innocence, telling her how much I was hurting, begging her to understand that I only had eyes for her. And she would just sit there, replying to, me like short answers like, okay, okay, and okay. When I confronted her about her happy pictures while I was dying, she turned it back on me. She said, oh, so you always think I am the wrong one, huh? Everything I posted was fake. I was suffering too. And because I was wearing those green glasses, I actually said, I'm sorry. I apologize for her leaving me seriously. She did this 3 times, 3 full cycles of breaking up, blocking, and hospital level of suffering. And every single time she left, she would post cryptic stories on the internet, painting herself as the victim, who had given her heart to the wrong person. She played a dirty game with my image. She made our mutual friends and the world believe that I was the monster who broke her heart, while I was the one sitting in the dark, bleeding out in silence, never once using a bad word, never once raising my voice, always trying to handle her cruelty with absolute calmness. And that brings us to right now. It has been 1.5 years since the third and final breakup. It took me 18 months of absolute isolation, 18 months of refusing to look at anyone else, 18 months of processing the wreckage to finally stand on the other side of the river. And as I speak those words to you tonight, I do not have a single tear in my eyes. The reason I am not crying right now is because during this 1.5 year of silence, I finally stopped giving all my energy away. I took all that passive love, all that endless care, all that loyalty that I used to waste on someone who treated me like in time pass, and I turned it around. I gave it to myself. I gave myself the time she never gave me. I gave myself the self love I had starved myself for 8 years. I healed. Her games told the entire story of her character, but my calmness, my refusal to play dirty, my choice to love truly until the very last second, that told the story of my character. If you're sitting in the dark right now, looking at a long text message you just wrote, if you're currently composing an essay to someone who treats you like an option, who ignores you in public, or who makes you feel worthless, I need you to listen to me carefully. Drop the phone. Take off those green glasses. Let them walk. Let them post their fake stories to protect their fragile image. Let them tell the world that you were the bad guy. It doesn't matter what they think. What matters is that you stop letting them hold a match to your soul. It is going to hurt. It might take you a year, it might take you 1.5 years to look at the sky without feeling a knot in your chest. You might feel like you are passing the time instead of living. But I promise you, as a human being who went through the exact same fire and came out whole, you will survive this. You will rebuild. And one day, you will sit in a room looking back at the version of you that suffered and you will whisper, "Thank God we stayed alive." Don't punish yourself for having a clean heart. Just bring that heart back home tonight. Stay positive, stay human, stay alive. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.